Legacy is often talked about like something distant, something we leave behind at the end of our lives. A name, a house, some money, a story people tell after we're gone. But real legacy is not built at the end. It's built quietly, every ordinary day. It's built in the moments no one applauds, when no one is taking notes, when there is no audience. Legacy is built in who you choose to protect, daily, not with grand gestures, but with consistency. Protecting your family doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like going to work when you're tired. Sometimes it looks like staying calm when stress is high. Sometimes it looks like saying no to yourself so others feel safe. A man's legacy is not defined by what he achieves alone. It is defined by who is still standing because of him, who sleeps peacefully because he showed up, who feels secure because he stayed disciplined, who trusts the future because he took responsibility again and again. Legacy is not a speech, it is a pattern. And every day, whether you realize it or not, you are either strengthening it or weakening it. And this discipline rarely announces itself. There are no ceremonies for it. No one hands you a title for staying steady. No one applauds the man who quietly prevents problems before they appear. Most of what truly protects a family happens long before danger arrives. It happens in mornings that look ordinary, in evenings that feel repetitive, in choices that seem too small to matter. You don't feel heroic when you go to bed on time. You don't feel powerful when you say no to unnecessary spending. You don't feel important when you choose patience instead of winning an argument. In fact, discipline often feels invisible, and that is why many men underestimate it. They wait for a moment that feels significant, a crisis, a turning point, a dramatic test of character. But real protection doesn't wait for drama. It works quietly in advance. It lowers the volume of chaos before it gets loud. It removes risk before it demands attention. It creates stability so danger has less room to grow. This kind of discipline doesn't make headlines, but it shapes outcomes. It decides whether tension becomes normal, whether stress becomes constant, whether fear becomes part of daily life. Legacy is formed here, not in moments of glory, but in the quiet prevention of damage. That is why legacy doesn't come from rare, heroic moments. It comes from daily choices, and it is built long before anyone calls it legacy. Many men confuse protection with control. They think protecting means deciding for others, managing every detail, holding everything tightly in their hands. But real protection is discipline. It is the discipline to regulate yourself first. Your emotions, your reactions, your impulses. A man who cannot control his temper cannot protect peace. A man who cannot control his habits cannot protect stability. A man who cannot control his time cannot protect the future. Protection is not about dominance. It is about reliability. When a family knows what version of you will show up, they feel safe. The same tone, the same standards, the same sense of responsibility. Discipline creates predictability, and predictability creates trust. You don't protect your family by being perfect. You protect them by being consistent, as showing up when it's uncomfortable, holding your line when shortcuts appear, choosing restraint when ego wants release. This is quiet strength, and it is built long before anyone calls it legacy. Legacy doesn't come from rare, heroic moments. It comes from daily choices, small ones, repeated ones. Who you protect is shaped by what you tolerate, what you ignore, what you delay. If you tolerate chaos, chaos becomes normal. If you ignore your health, anxiety spreads quietly. If you delay responsibility, uncertainty grows. Protection is often invisible. It looks like routines, boundaries, boring decisions done on time, going to bed earlier, saving instead of spending, listening instead of reacting. These choices don't feel important in the moment, but they compound. Over time, they decide who feels calm at home and who lives on edge. A disciplined man doesn't wait for crises to act. He reduces risk before it becomes visible. That is protection. But protection does not end with good decisions. It is sustained by presence, because choices only matter when they are lived out, repeatedly, in real time. You can make the right plans and still fail to protect if you are rarely there to carry them through. Protection weakens when presence fades, when you are physically absent too often, when you are mentally elsewhere, when your attention is split and your energy depleted. People don't feel safe because you intended to do the right thing. They feel safe because you are there when it matters, in the room, in the moment, in the routine of daily life. Consistency turns decisions into shelter. Showing up doesn't mean doing something dramatic. It means being available when things are ordinary, listening without rushing, responding without irritation, staying engaged even when nothing feels urgent. This kind of presence is quiet, but it is powerful. It signals something deeper than words ever could. That someone is paying attention, that someone is carrying responsibility, that someone can be relied on. Over time, presence becomes reassurance, and reassurance is what allows others to lower their guard. This is where protection becomes tangible, because you don't protect people with intentions. You protect them with presence. You protect what you consistently show up for. You protect what you consistently show up for, not what you talk about, not what you promise. Presence is protection, being there emotionally, mentally, physically. A distracted man is unreliable. A reactive man is unstable. A careless man is unsafe. Protection requires attention, listening fully, responding calmly, acting deliberately. Your family doesn't need you loud. They need you steady. Showing up every day trains others to relax because they know someone is holding the line. That is leadership without noise. And leadership like this rarely draws attention. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition. It doesn't explain its value. Most of the time, no one even notices it happening. But something changes. The room feels calmer. Conversations soften. Tension loses its grip. Not because problems disappear, but because someone is quietly containing them. This kind of leadership works beneath the surface. It doesn't control outcomes. It controls atmosphere, and atmosphere shapes how people feel long before they understand why. When leadership is steady, fear has less space. When responses are measured, chaos struggles to grow. When responsibility is carried daily, uncertainty stops spreading. People may never point to you and say, "This is why things feel safe." They just feel it. They relax. They breathe easier. They trust the ground beneath them. This is how leadership turns into something deeper. Not a reputation, not a title, but a presence that changes the environment. And when leadership begins to shape how people feel, it stops being about authority and starts becoming something else. Legacy. Because legacy is not something people hear about. It is something they live inside of. Legacy is not something people hear about. It is something they feel. In the atmosphere of a home, in the tone of conversations, in the absence of fear. If people feel safe around you, you are building legacy. If they relax when you enter the room, you are building legacy. This doesn't come from speeches. It comes from self-control, from discipline that never asks for recognition. Legacy is not a future event. It is a present responsibility. Every day you choose discipline, someone feels safer. Every day you choose restraint, someone feels protected. You don't need to leave something behind. You need to hold something together. That is legacy.